All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show, guys. Hope you had a great, amazing, long weekend. Hope you guys were able to enjoy yourself, be with family, take some good time off, and kind of relax a bit. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I'm doing great. How about yourself on the long weekend?
Yeah, doing good, man. Definitely enjoyed my long weekend. Spent it with family, had a good time. So hopefully everyone else did the same. All right, guys. So let's get to it. As usual, if you're joining us for the first time, we usually go over our stocks from the day before on Mondays, and this being Tuesday. We will not do that. We won't go over the stocks for last week, but we will follow the regular routine of going through the gappers list, news, any announcement for this week. I know we have a lot going on in regards to some earnings today, and hopefully, I'm not sure if any announcements. No, we'll go through that. Then we'll look at our gappers list, kind of get into the details of what's going on here, what stuff is moving, some of the catalysts that's making this thing move. Then we'll look at Nasdaq active, Nasdaq gainers, and if you're joining us for the first time, we do this every trading day, 8:30 Eastern time. We start here the pre-market show. So as today, Norm, in regards to news, the SPY, what's going on this week? Anything exciting that we should be looking out for today or the week?
Yeah, man. We're gapping down this morning, pretty decent sized gap down. It's come back, SPY's come back a bit. We're down about 3/10 on the SPY right now. We were down a half earlier. Really, futures have been hit by two major things. Apple came out over the weekend and said that they've essentially pre-announced for the quarter that they will not meet revenue guidance that they gave just a few weeks ago. The reasoning is twofold. It has to do with the coronavirus, both on the supply side and the demand side. So they've had factories shut down longer than anticipated. They closed down for the Chinese New Year, but they kept them closed longer because of the virus. And then additionally, they have stores closed. So they're going to have a little bit of a constrained product coming through in the current quarter. On top of that, the demand in China is fairly weak right now since people aren't out about buying stuff. People, and people aren't making any money. They're not working right now, so that's going to hit them a little bit. They pre-announced on that. That's one thing that's really guided the SPY down, and then the other is just this virus news in general. So that's kind of what's going on. And then this morning we took another hit, specifically on the Dow, but it also hit the SPY. Walmart came out and had earnings, and their earnings missed estimates. They cited weaker same-store sales in fourth quarter than anticipated. So that's what we got going on.
All right, thank you very much, Norm. Um, so yeah, it will be interesting to see. I can see Apple already on here. I mean, we had a nice drop on it, but it's kind of recovering. So even with that negative
Yeah.
news, we were down to 310, and now we're kind of bouncing back pretty strong here this morning with some really good volume. So we'll see what's going on there.
One
Um, all right,
one thing you got to one thing you got to remember on Apple, I'll throw out there, is that it was a year ago that they came and pre-announced that it was a year ago, last January, they came out and pre-announced that they were going to have weaker earnings and revenues than anticipated because of tariffs and global trade concerns and everything else, which really caused the market to kind of move sideways. So I think you're going to get some people potentially that use this as an opportunity to buy on this dip.
mm-hmm.
And because Apple, I mean, the weekly and the daily are both in really nice consolidation patterns here for a potential grind higher. I don't know how much higher Apple can go. Its returns in the last year are pretty huge, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely been on a beautiful tear since August and all that last year really. So we'll see what happens there. All right, folks, let's start with our gappers list over here. Let's make some room on our watch list, add some columns, and then let's head over to LM this morning. So LM this morning, 1.1 million shares traded. We are up 23%. Already looking at the chart, this looks like a possible buyout. The way this thing is laid out here.
Yep.
Again, just pretty flat on the price action. Is that what it is, Norm? Buyout in this one?
Yes, it is an all cash buyout by Franklin Templeton. So
Okay, so yeah, not something that's gonna probably trade well or at all in any kind of direction. So we're just gonna remove this one. You clearly tell us a buyout happening there. GSX. GSX. Now this one this morning, we what do we have here? We have 176,000 shares traded. Not the best and cleanest pre-market activity, guys. So here you have your opening right around here. Again, just pretty choppy, pretty flat. You do have 36,000 shares being traded in this one candle here, but overall very flat in this pre-market activity. I don't think it's a buyout, but it has not had a great pre-market activity this morning. It is a nicey stock. We do have a nice little pop here, 14%, and the daily has been stronger the last couple of days. Now look at these candles, guys. See how small these candles are. Usually when you see something like that, it tends to be lower than usual volume that we like to trade. If you look down here, you're looking at almost 6.4 volume on a regular basis. Here and there you have 12,000 here on a day that it looks like was in play. Today could be that possible day. Norm, what's the news on GSX this morning?
Yeah, so this is a Chinese company that is an educational Chinese educational company. They specifically uh, focus on tutoring, and they released earnings. I have not dug into it simply because this is really one of the companies I try to steer clear of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's a few of these that we've traded. There's a few of these that we trade. There's a handful of similar companies, and they're just I find them very very strange. It's not a low float, but they tend to just trade strangely like one to me sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and this one here actually is showing a 12 million shares flow. So this will be considered a low flow for us. But I know exactly what you mean. We've seen some of this Chinese education stuff on here that doesn't trade very well.
Well, on Finviz, it's got a float of 138 million. I've
Wow.
actually found Finviz float to be more accurate on these Chinese companies. But
Okay,
that having been said, we also don't know what the float is. Got another knock against it in my book. Not
gotcha.
that you can't trade it and make money on it. It's just not my kind of deal.
Yeah, if you have other stocks that are going to trade better, have a better pre-market activity, and also have better price action, and even so, if you have traded it before in the past and have some good experience on it, why not watch one of those instead, right? Next, we have BEN here, 931,000, up 13% this morning. It's got a very, very choppy daily chart, guys. This is all over the place, really. Just look how choppy this is, gapping up or down. If it looks like a foreign stock, I don't think it is, but the way this thing looks, it just
It's
doesn't
not.
look great. Here is our pre-market activity right now. We do have a good pre-market activity though. We have a nice little pop here, consolidation happening now, and we got some good volume. So again, horrible daily, but a great pre-market. Up 13.3 this morning. We can see how we're in a nice downtrend here. Now we're kind of doing a shock effect of gapping up quite a bit here. No, what's the news on this one, BEN?
So BEN is actually the company that is acquiring LM that we just spoke about a little
Mm,
while ago. So it may be tradable. I agree that the daily chart on it looks terrible with just the moves. It's a financial advisor, financial resource company. So a lot of times they don't trade super clean. I do find it strange, and you guys that are normal viewers of this program and traders in general know that usually when a company is being acquired, the company being acquired goes up while the acquirer drops. And it's interesting here to see a 13% pop on the company that is buying the other one.
yeah, that's usually not the case. So that's kind of weird to see, but again, looks like it could be a good one to trade this morning. All right, guys, let's look at
Yeah, it could be.
INMD this morning. We are up 7.2 on this one. 7.2 and 188,000 shares traded so far. Daily doesn't look great, guys, and we have looked at this one before in the past. But the last couple of days, last couple of months, really, it's really been trading very, very choppy. Just look at this here, up and down. Nothing really clean on the daily. The pre-market, though, is starting to form something nice here. Hopefully, can get going with some good volume. We can see here the flow happening, especially from here to here. You can see how the activity is getting a lot better, a lot cleaner, and that's the reason for that is because you have volume down here. What's the flow for this one? 11.4 on this one, so it's on the lower side, guys. Again, I'm gonna throw it down here because I'm showing 11.4 on my trade ideas, so it's not the best flow ever. ATR, what's the ATR on this one? ATR is not that bad. 76 cents on a stock that's trading at 47 bucks. It's not that bad on the ATR side, but again, the daily just doesn't look great. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Not one of the best stocks. Again, you got great pre-market activity, but not a great daily. And also the fact that we're sitting at 11.4 on the flow is a bit concerning as well. Again, anything under 20, we just want to be careful with because they can be difficult to watch the price action, and it can be manipulated easily one way or the other, or not even manipulated. Just the price action can flip on you very aggressively, right? Because the flow is so low. So it's not all about somebody manipulating the price action unless you're trading something at 2 million shares, 1 million shares. That can definitely happen there. But on these stocks, the price action can really surprise you in a way that you might not be ready to react fast enough. SBGL, guys, this one we have been watching in the past quite a bit. Doesn't trade
Just
very well.
I'm gonna note real quick
Yep.
on that INMD. Their catalyst this morning is earnings.
Mm-hmm.
They beat on the top line and the bottom line. Their revenue actually was a pretty substantial beat. So that's what their catalyst is this morning. I agree. I probably won't trade it either, but just
Yep.
wanted to throw that out there.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. So SBGL, guys, this one has been on our list quite a bit. I have not touched this. I don't like the way it trades. I think it's a stock that's very very choppy. Again, just one of those stocks I just stay away from. So again, you have a nasty pre-market activity. You do got some volume here, 108. You are popping up 6.4. The daily seems to be breaking out this area of resistance. So again, if you like this type of style stock, you can watch it. But for me, I've just been avoiding the way this one trades really. We'll keep it on here, see if it gets any better. Norm, any significant news on this one? Also, what kind of stock this is? Are you aware?
You're talking about SBGL, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a South African gold miner, so it's foreign. It's a mining stock. It moves on commodity prices. It trades like garbage.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's head down here to KR. Let's see what KR has for us today. All right, so KR this morning, Kroger. This one we have looked at in the past before. Not the best trading stock, guys. It can be very choppy. Today they're gapping up 5.9. They got a little bit of volume. This is typical pre-market activity for them. You really have to wait for the open to see what KR is going to do. That's what we have learned from watching this stock over and over again. When they are in play, like you see here, more volume than usual. They do give some good moves. You can see her nice pop. The intraday, I'm sure, looked amazing on that. Here you had a nice pop as well. Not the best intraday probably with this choppiness, but overall they have several days when they are in play. They give you some good volume and good activity. So I think Kroger's one you have to wait a little bit. We have a nice little gap up this morning. Norm, any significant news making this thing jump up like this?
Yeah, it came out the end of last week that Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company, has bought a pretty significant stake in them. So that's giving them a pop. Not uncommon for when that happens, and it's
Mm-hmm.
announced that Buffett has gotten interested in the company.
Yeah, so again, we'll see we'll keep it on here, guys. It might not be one that I keep. Again, it's just one of those stocks that into the open, you really do not know what's going to happen here with KR. It tends to have that kind of pre-market activity. All right, let's head down to Tesla this morning. Again, making some serious noise. Just look at this daily, guys. I know we talk about how strong the technicals really are on Tesla since it did this move here. How much does this moving average really means? But just looking at what's happened in the last couple of days, Norm, me and you talked about this before. This thing is bouncing off this 9 every single time. So again, we've
Yep.
seen that going back too. If you go back, look at it, the bounces from the 9. Whoops, that's too much. Let's bring it back down over here. So bounces here, bounces here, bounces here. Again, it just can, even with this crazy move, it comes back and retraces right back to this 9. Right, so again, some way somehow, even the pre-market low this morning, you're bouncing off this 9, and you're really setting up nicely for a possible breakout. I mean, just look at the resistance area here. We're above the resistance area, which was this one, and just look at the wedge that's been happening lower. I'm sorry, higher lows all the way up to 800, and now you have a breakout here with a beautiful pre-market activity. So again, this is a stock, guys, that it's trading very well this morning. Definitely one to watch and keep an eye on. So, from what we already know, Norm, anything new out of Tesla this morning that's causing this pop?
Yeah, Morgan Stanley raised their bull case price target on this to $1,200. So I wouldn't call it an official. They do this kind of strangely. I think they're overall Morgan Stanley is a bit bearish on the stock, but they always throw out this. Well, if we're wrong, it could do X, and that's kind of what they increased to $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's interesting. And then, of course, I don't know if anybody's kept up with Elon Musk on Twitter, but he threw some shade at Bill Gates. Bill Gates was being interviewed about the climate change and all that stuff, and mentioned he had bought an electric vehicle and he bought a Porsche Taycan. And so Elon Musk felt the need to throw shade and said he was what did he say? He was not that impressive or something along those lines. Anyway,
Gotcha, man. So again, worth watching here. Tesla this morning. Again, good activity, guys. Great pre-market action. To me, it looks like it really wants to go back and test this 900 and hopefully this all-time high, but we'll have to wait and see. Next, let's go over SDC. SDC this morning. This one had a big day on Friday, guys. Sold off really, really nice. I think, unfortunately, I took this off my list. I believe on Friday, but either way, guys, we have a nice. I'm sorry, let me get this other one here, SDC as well on the top chart. Here we go, SDC. So again, we have a nice little drop here. We are actually it's not a drop, it's a pop. It's a drop Friday, but it's a pop here, 3.3. So it could be going for a continuation. We do have a nice level of support here that we've been holding over the last couple of days. Every time we come down here, we find a way to get to get above it. So pre-market, guys, not looking all that great, but it's a type of stock that it trades like this. Doesn't have usually the best pre-market activity, but it did trade well on Friday. So we'll keep it on here. We'll take a look at how that pre-market activity develops and how it gets later as we get closer to 9:15, 9:30. Next we have BYND. We have not seen BYND
beyond the meat.
yes in some time. So what do we have going on here? So it looks like Daily's just been just chopping around here, guys. Really holding on to the highs and lows. You see these two red lines here. For the daily, it's kind of been just holding this 110ish. Every time it's come down here, obviously you dip a little lower in a few days, but overall it's been holding this support. Down here you have a moving average as well coming up here. So this is the 20, that's your 9. So it's kind of been holding here. Here it looks like it possibly wants to break out. It does not have the volume that we are usually watching on BYND. If you guys remember when BYND was on fire throughout these days here, we had a lot of volume in the pre-market. I'm talking about 800 1.1 million shares traded just in the pre-market. You can see the volume here. On the daily was plus 25 million, sometimes hitting looks like 40 and 50, and then it has died down quite a bit. We're not getting that pop and that energy out of BYND lately. So but today, guys, this daily looks great. It looks like a possible breakout. You still have some good levels here, 125 134 that this thing can target. Just the pre-market's not looking all that great based on what we've seen before on BYND. Norm, any specific news on BYND this morning, or are we just kind of doing some technical moves here?
I think we're on technicals here. I haven't seen anything. Maybe somebody will correct me, but I haven't seen anything on Beyond the Meat specifically this morning.
Gotcha. Thanks, man. Let's look at next one here. We have PAAS. This morning, this one, again, just the
It's a
daily.
Canadian silver miner, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't trade very well.
Yep, we'll skip this one, guys. Not one that we want to watch. Apple is on this list, and Apple looks good. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Great pre-market activity, guys. The drop down all the way to seems like 310. I'm gonna mark it down since we're talking about it, and then it's been recovering. It's up at 320 already this morning in the pre-market. So again, it's one that, as Nora mentioned, has kind of predicted that they're gonna have a bad quarter, bad earnings or whatever the case may be, not hit the numbers. So mixing in some of the results now, trying to buffer them in. Looks like a little early, but looks like people don't believe it. It's actually doing pretty good right now, even though it's down 2.1. It was down probably as much as 5. That looks like here. So again, great pre-market activity, guys. Good volume on Apple. Definitely want to have this on my list. When Apple is in play, it trades very, very clean. And today seems to be one of those days. Let's look at MU here. So MU's got really good volume, 335,000 shares traded. Usually not the case for AMU, but AMU's daily, man, it's not what it used to be. It is very, very choppy here. The intraday has not been great. You have had several days where we had some really good breakouts on these at the open, and then some resistance, and then a beautiful short towards the VWAP has happened on multiple occasions on MU. So again, it's one that you can watch, but again, it's been pretty disappointing to for the most part to watch MU. So today we got some good volume. We're down 2.4. We do have some areas here of support that we're kind of slightly above 56. Another one all the way down here, obviously at 53. But again, just not sure how clean MU is going to trade today. We'll keep it on there. We'll make a
So
decision.
as
Mm-hmm.
far as catalyst on MU this morning, so David Tepper, who happens to own the Carolina Panthers, but his career, other than football, he runs a hedge fund known as Appaloosa Management. He's been a long time Micron bull, and his reports came out, and he has increased his position, which was rather large to begin with in MU in fourth quarter. So that's what's going on here.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Thank you for that. All right, next we have we looked at Apple. BBBY popped up here. Let's just go back a bit here. BBBY this morning, one that we have traded quite a bit. We had a nice gap down a couple of days ago here. We're kind of holding pre-market activity, doesn't look great, just barely getting over 100,000. So not a fan of what I'm seeing right now. It really needs a lot of volume and power to break out of these areas and hopefully create a good action. The intraday start closing this gap. Looks like we have a nice support here of 11. So again, not a fan of it right now, BBBY. So we'll just put it on here, but might not be one that makes our final list this morning unless something really good starts happening there. STM, I believe, is a foreign stock. Yep, this is a foreign stock, guys. Look how choppy it is.
But
Look at the gaps in between. You don't want to be trading this type of stuff. And if you go back and look at the intraday, you can see how sloppy this thing trades. Also look at the low, how low the volume is. Usually trading under 3 million shares, which does not create a really good price action for us at the open. Apply material, guys. This was hot a couple of days ago as well. Today we're down 4.7. So this is nice, guys. We had a nice little pop here. We had a huge rejection off of 70. That's the day that was in play, and now we're kind of gapping down, getting back to this area where we have some resistance here, slightly below it, and you do have some good levels off this day that we can mark down. So I like the pre-market activity now, guys. It's got some good movement here. You can see here it's kind of looking rather weak. It looks like it might want to head down a little bit lower as we speak. We have it's down 4.7 this morning. Norm, we had some news before that caused this pop. What is causing this drop today?
yeah, they had earnings last week. I believe, this is on some concerns about limiting access to some U.S. semiconductor stocks by Huawei. The government may be limiting their ability to purchase some stuff. So that's what's going on here, from what I can tell.
All right, excellent. So we'll keep an eye on this one, guys. I really like the way the pre-market activity is building up on this one right now. It can be a little more difficult to trade this stock. It's not the cleanest stock we like to trade, but we've seen some good opportunities build on Applied Materials. All right, running through this list real quick. I see CarG's popping up here, so let's look at that one. Next, we look at space. I know a lot of you guys are talking about space, and WMT. We'll look at that as well. So CarG this morning, if you guys remember, this is the one that dropped drastically. Had a beautiful gap down here, and also if you missed it, the intraday on this was just incredible. We had a really nice drop here. You guys took advantage of. So again, it kind of traded very decent on last week. So today we're kind of getting not a great pre-market activity. We do have some volume on it, 227. But I do like we have a nice daily here. With this drop, right? So this drop is creating a nice support here, so we can get a continuation either way. Right now, I mean, it's not the best pre-market, so I'm not a fan of it. But I know with this big gap down, we do have some potential. Friday, we had a lot of movement on this. We could get a continuation either way, so it's worth watching. But right now, the way it stands, I'm not going to keep this on my list unless this pre-market activity starts getting a little bit better, giving us a nice little pre-market action here. All right, so that covers that. Let's look at space. Well, I say space, but it's actually SPCE, and it's Virgin Galactic. It's not space. This morning, this stock, guys, has been ripping. I remember we were looking at this around 15. We took a breakout trade here. Andrew took this trade as well. We just did a very nice move there. And the next couple of days, it's been trading very well. Just look at the breakout again. Comes back to that 20 where it had some resistance before. And from there, it's just been incredible. Friday had a huge day. A lot of you guys took advantage of this. And now we're up again, 13.1, 2.2 million shares traded. So again, this stock has a great pre-market activity, guys. It's up quite a bit. Just keep in mind, this is very, very extended, right? So how much juice does this have left, right? So just be cautious. If you're going to trade this stock, you have to stick to your stops. Do not play around with this one. It can drop very fast on you. It's extended. It can give us an opportunity to take it, even if it's going to be strong, it can give us an opportunity for the long side. But just do not overstay your welcome on this stock, guys. This is something that, look, the last couple of days, it has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days, maybe 6, with a major day already in there, right? So when you start seeing this, we see it all the time. We saw it with Tesla. We saw with some all over time with some stocks that get really extended. The drop tends to be brutal, so just be aware that if you're going to take this long, make sure you have a pattern that you're looking at, and you know clearly where your stop is going to be, and that you size accordingly. This thing moves quite a bit. Look at some of these candles. High of the day is 33. This bottom here is 31.50. So you just want to be cautious. But this is definitely a play, guys. Beautiful pre-market activity. Norm, what's going on with SPCE this morning, causing this beautiful trade?
I haven't found anything specific, frankly. This has just been really active trading the last few weeks, and I think that's part of what it is. If somebody sees something specific, well, let me know.
Yep, absolutely. So again, sometimes that worries me too when you when you see something like this and there's again no catalyst behind it. It's kind
Yeah.
of scary, to be honest. It's kind of scary. So just again, even more reason to, if you're gonna trade this to the long side. I think a lot of us do not have shorts for this. Just be very cautious. Right. Another one that I saw you guys mention was Walmart as well. So Peter also mentioned that in the chat room. So here we have WMT. Now WMT, guys, this is a stock I normally do not watch. It's very difficult to read the price action. This is a stock that doesn't move very well. It's a very well-known stock. It trades good volume right now, 435. But look how this 435 is trading in the pre-market. Also, just look at the choppiness on the days we had the last couple of days. It's just not trading very well. Today could be a different day. We do have a catalyst behind it. Norm, I think you mentioned earnings, I believe.
Yeah, they had earnings, and their earnings were pretty nasty.
Yep. So again,
So,
they had bad earnings, so they didn't get a drop here. So I'm not sure how much reaction they're going to have to bad earnings. They're actually up almost 1%. But again, it's just very choppy. So be cautious with Walmart. Definitely one that could be in play today. I personally do not like Walmart. We'll put it on here. We'll do some levels for it, but I won't keep it on my list. All right, that covers our gappers list, guys. Let's go over to Norm. What do you have on your list this morning that you like that might not already be on this list?
Nvidia and Roku, I'm gonna have my eye on. Nvidia, we had some nice trades on a gap up last week. And I'm going to see what happens there. It's got some of this, it's going to have some of this concern from Apple bleeding over into it as well, I believe. And then also, as you know, Roku had a massive red candle on Friday. So I want to see how that acts this morning.
Yep, I do like Roku actually, man. Roku's been trading very clean. So I definitely interested in watching Roku as well this morning. Could be good for a continuation. All right, folks, what do you guys have on your end? We have a big list here. We're gonna take a few off of this list. Obviously, there's some stuff that's not trading all that great. But what do you guys have? Do you like this morning? Just want to go through that. So Nvidia, we have AMD. I saw AMD on both chats, YouTube and on our chat. So let's take a look at that. All right, so my issue with AMD is it has been doing this for quite a bit now, where you think it's going to break out, and kind of like MU has been giving us some really bad trading opens. It hasn't been
Yeah.
great, So that's my concern with it right now. I think here, I don't think you're gonna get a lot of movement. Again, my personal opinion, guys. I'm not an analyst, but if I was, it's okay to be wrong because these guys are always wrong and they still keep their jobs. It's all good. So here again, it's been just so choppy, guys. Every open, it doesn't really do much, right? So if you go back and look at several days here, it's just the choppiness. MU is the same thing. So I'm not a fan of it. This was trading well right here. Look at the daily, how great this was trading, and we had some really good intraday pops. With the last couple of days, is having a tough time getting above this. Does not want to sell off, and then it's just creating this chop. Unless the SPY does something significant, then we can look at AMD and find something. But overall, guys, it's one that I'm not going to watch on my list. I'll look for it for turbo breakdown, and I also want to see the SPY heading in one way, or turbo breakup heading the one way or the other, to allow it to give it more juice. If the SPY is not moving in the direction that AMD and MU are moving without a catalyst of their own, I'm just not going to trade them. It's as simple as that with these two stocks that they have not been trading well. Let's look at SDC. We do have, guys, that's on here already, so we'll take a closer look at that. SPCE we do have as well right over here, so we'll take a closer look at that. Again, that one's one that's been a bit parabolic, so you want to be cautious. LK, let's look at LK here. Wow. Okay, has a very nasty daily as well. It's just it's stuck in somewhat of an indecision. Doesn't have a great volume right now. This thing traded very well right in here, guys. We had a lot of great opportunities. We caught the breakout. We caught some of these days here where we moved very well. I believe some of you guys even caught some possible shorts on this. But overall, right now, it's just stuck within this consolidation. And look at the days. You know, the volume has dried up a little bit, and also you're pretty much stuck within this area of support. So not a fan of LK right now. It did give us some great days. I don't think it's done. But I'm gonna wait for this to break out and start doing some patterns again so we can trade it a little bit cleaner. Um, what else we have, guys? So that's LK, AMD we looked at. Roku we have on our list. Thank you. SPWR. This one, it's got an interesting daily, right? Had a nice little pop here, 2 red days back to back, and today's kind of, it looks like it wants to lose this area of support. So the daily looks interesting on this. Volume is starting to pick up. Pre-market's not all that great right now. We have some other ones here that are really active this morning, guys, that we want to keep an eye on. So you got Tesla, you got Apple, you got some other ones that have got some good volume space, which you want to be cautious with. This one is barely trying to get over 100,000, but I do love what you're seeing here. The daily, again, it's just right at that level of prior resistance that became support. 2 red days on here. You know, if it loses this, it can easily drop down. So this could be a great possible, guys. This could be a really good possible. If it has space towards the end, I'll add this one. Um, Microsoft. Let's take a look at Microsoft. So Microsoft has been pretty strong the last couple of days, as you know here. Right now, it's just kind of consolidating, not doing much. So I think it can go either way. I think it's just gonna consolidate here for a while. I don't think we're getting anything great out of Microsoft, at least not at the open. VTR, we'll do a few more, then we'll get over to announcement. VTR, guys, no volume right now, only 633. And also, aside from the volume, you don't have a great pre-market activity, obviously. And the daily doesn't look all that great. One thing I like about the daily is the possible breakout here. But overall, it looks like a stock doesn't trade very well, so I'm just gonna skip that one for today. All right, guys, we'll come back. We'll come back. You guys have a lot of stuff on here. I think most of it we covered it. Let's go Nasdaq active, Nasdaq gainers really quick. At Apple, we have AGRX. This one's got 1.4, so it's got some volume here. What's the float on this? This looks good. AGRX. AGRX. Here we go. Okay. AGRX. Let's try that again. Why is it doing that? AGRX. All right, here we go. All right, so 40. So it's not a low float, guys. This one is 42 million shares float in based on trade ideas. It's got some movement here. It's on short selling restriction. Do you have shares for short on this? No, you don't. Um, it looks okay. It's got a great pre-market activity. I'm not going to trade it. I'm going to trade something that's a higher price. But if you're looking for this type of price stocks, this one looks good here. It's very active this morning. 1.4 down. 6%. I don't have shares for sure, but if you do, this could be a good one to watch. AIHS 1.2, but a penny stock will skip down. Tesla, we have SNY. We looked at this one before. We got a block
Garbage.
trade there. Yeah, so garbage today. GNPX. Again, this was, if it was not a penny stock, if it was not this type of stock, it has a great pre-market activity and a good and an interesting daily the last couple of days. But looking at the way this stock trades, I'm not interested in it. It's just really, really garbage, guys. AMD, we looked at, guys. Again, it's just not a fan of the way it's been trading the last couple of days, so I'm just going to skip on it. NIO is one that we had looked at in the past, had this beautiful craziness happening here that a lot of you guys took advantage of. Today, they got some volume, but again, it's just the daily is just not clean, so just be aware of that. BLPH, nothing going on here. MITO, also not great activity. Look at this daily, it's just horrible. SYPR, no activity. WSG, nothing happening there. SIVA's got just one big trade here, but not much going on. HIHO, nothing happening. NH, New Hampshire, nothing going on there. BBY, nothing happening there. VIVE, also same. And then the last one on this list, CETX, nothing great. So really, AGRX is the one that's really active on this list this morning. So that's the one you might want to keep an eye on if you're looking for that type of stock. All right, Noam, let's take it over to announcements. Let me bring this up. And then we'll come back and do some support and resistance levels here.
I'm going to fly through this morning. Since we're a little bit behind and our list is massive. So quickly, the weekly rundown. Don't know if Brian will be doing the swing trade discussion this afternoon since it's usually on Monday, but we'll see if he can hop in and give us a talk 2:30 this afternoon. You'll have class one onboarding tonight instead of Monday since it was a holiday yesterday, Carlos. And then Tuesday, we also have Eamon's trade review in the classroom at noon. That'll happen on Thursday as well. And then our success webinar is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. That's going to be with Ed Martin of Average Joe Trading, which we'll discuss in just a moment. All right, we still have our Valentine's Day promotion going on, guys. It's 40% off the one-time lifetime membership, one-time payment lifetime membership plan. Use the promo code LOVE for that. BBT, if you are not a member of BBT, this does not apply if you have any kind of membership here, so please don't do it. If you're already a member, it'll mess up your membership. But if you're not and you'd like to use the forum, you can do so with a free membership. AB will post the link for it. Success webinars, as I mentioned, we've got a two-part series from Ed Martin of Average Joe Trader starting tomorrow night on trend trading. Email went out about that yesterday from Andrew, go into a little discussion about Ed and what we're expecting out of those webinars. Upcoming meetups this Friday. I'll see you guys in New York City. Several of us will be there. Andrew, Carlos, Ryan, myself, Peter. So I can't wait to see you guys in New York. And Andrew's still trying to get to Dubai, so check ABL's link to the forum and see if you guys can figure out when and where to meet. Dash Challenge. Guys, there is currently a Dash Challenge going on. The actual challenge part has not started. That's in March, but the boot camp or training phase of it is going on now. You can go to onebesttrader.com. That's the number one, besttrader.com. And AB will hopefully be able to post a link for that as well. If you use the code BBT15, you can get $15 off your registration for that. $15 discount off registration. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, you can use the promo code premarket24 to get a discounted trial membership. That's the intro membership. When you go to the member page, if you want to try out the room, see if it's a good fit for you, it does not auto renew or turn into any other kind of membership. As I've mentioned, follow us on Twitter. Andrew is at Bearbull Traders. Carlos is at Carlos M BBT, and I am at Norm BBT. We post a bunch of stuff, both related to trading, being a trader, ideas, thoughts, anything else like that. So that's it.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Norm. All right, yes, we do have a huge list here, guys. So let's go through this first and kind of chop some of the stuff off that we don't like the way it's looking right now. So GSX, again, this one, it can have some potential. I do like that we do have some levels on here. Pre-market is not all that great, but I do like that it can run up to some levels here. The float on this one is showing. Norm, you mentioned this is a higher float, right? But it is a Chinese stock.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct.
So it's not 12 million like Trade Ideas is showing. It does have a higher flow. I do like the way this is setting up, but again, I just want to be cautious because it is a Chinese stock, educational stock. So these are not easy to trade. BEN this morning. This has a great pre-market activity, guys. You can see here it's got some good volume, so definitely want to keep an eye on this one. Not the best daily. You can see the daily here is not great. So we'll keep an eye on that one. SBGL. This one I'm going to take off. The way this one has been trading over the last couple of days, I do not like. I don't think it trades well, so I'm going to take that one off. KR is one that I'm going to probably move down to a possible. I don't like the way it trades on a regular basis. Today they got some news, so we can see. We won't know into the open how this thing is going to really look. It's one of those stocks that doesn't trade very well in the pre-market unless it has some really significant news. We have a pop here, but again, we're not getting almost anything. It is a nicey stock, and we know nicey stocks don't trade all that well pre-market. Tesla is a must-watch. Let me just look at this beautiful pre-market activity where it looks like we're going to go back and test the high, so keep an eye on that. SDC this morning, I'm going to remove this one. It could be a good continuation, but just look at the pre-market is now that great. Had a big, nice red day yesterday. Could have a continuation today, but we just have way too many. This one's going to have to sit in the back seat for now. BYND has potential, guys, but it has done this before where it struggles with the high of the day, comes back down the pre-market, and doesn't do much at the open. So for that, I'm going to remove it. If it hits our turbo breakup and turbo breakup or down scanners, we can take a look at it. But right now, we've seen this from BYND quite a bit. The last time we had several breakouts out of the pre-market high, we were trading almost 700, 800,000 shares by now. We're only at 240, which for BYND is not a lot. So we'll remove this one. You know what? We'll bring it down here as a possible. INMD. I have this one down here. I think this is yeah, I'm gonna remove this one, guys. What's the float on this one? 11.4. Yeah, I'm gonna take this one out. This is more of a low flow stock, so I'm just gonna remove this one. I'm not gonna watch low flows today when I have such a big list. BYND will be a possible. We'll keep down here. Let's remove it from our main list. Apple, I like, guys. Beautiful pre-market activity. When Apple is trading this type of volume, expect a very clean open out of Apple. We've seen it quite a bit. Norm traces quite often. When he can vouch that when you have this type of pre-market activity, you can get some good movements out of Apple this morning. So we'll keep an eye on it. MU is kind of like the same thing as AMD, guys. We they have not been trading well. So unless a SPY starts doing picks one direction and then we see this in our turbo breakup or turbo breakdown scanners, I'm not really going to watch it this morning. That could be possible. BBY as well, not the greatest pre-market activity. Has some potential if it can get going above 12. Has a nice little gap here that it can close. I'm not seeing anything great in the pre-market as that says that's going to happen today. It could be a good possible, but I don't want to make my possibles list too long. We'll throw it on here and then we'll decide what our possible list should look like. So we'll remove from here. Apply materials. I do like this drop, guys. Here, there's a very nice drop. We're down 4.7. Okay, volume. Pre-market activity is not the greatest, but I do like the fact that we're down quite a bit, sitting at this area of possible support between these two moving averages. So for that, since I don't like the pre-market activity, we'll keep it as a possible. We're going to move it down here this morning. We'll keep it on there. CAR-G, guys, has a horrible pre-market activity. I love the drop here. Could have some potential, but this pre-market activity is just not clean. It is on short selling restrictions for that reason. Let's just move this down to a possible. Our possible list today could be larger than usual because we do have some stuff that can move well. SPCE is one that a lot of us do not have shares for short on it, but again, this thing is just very strong. It's going to be even if you don't trade, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be like a Tesla, so I'm going to keep this on here. We'll do some levels for it, and if we get some opportunities, we can watch it. WMT, me personally, guys, I do not like the way the stock trades. I think it's very difficult to trade. For me, it's like a baba, so for that reason, I'm going to remove it. It's not even going to make my possible list. NVIDIA, it's got some potential, but I really like what Roku looks like here. Again, Roku's starting to bring in some volume. Went red to green this morning. I think this could be a good one to watch. So I'm gonna move down NVIDIA to a possible, and then I'm gonna keep Roku, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just one extra that I need to get rid of. We'll do that in a second. All right, let's look at actually, you know what? It'll be this one here, GSX. The reason I'm moving this one down because it is a Chinese stock, and I just rather not trade as my main watch. So I'm gonna move that one down. This is gonna make my 6 today. So we have BEN high of the pre-market this morning, sitting at 27.98. Below that, we do have this daily is not great now that I'm looking at it closely. You do have a level right on here. You see several days bouncing off of that 27. You do have a spike over here, 26.70. Above this 27.95, you do have an area clearly all the way. Excuse me. All the way up here with a change in direction, and in between here, you can see right on here also you can see a level right on there, 28.66. So I'll keep this one on here. Again, not a fan of the daily, but the pre-market is looking pretty good, and we got some good volume on the pre-market, so I'll keep that on there. So here's KR. KR, again, I'm not a fan of it. Could be very choppy, but they got some good news today. They got a nice pop. So I think it's worth watching to see what we're going to get out of this one. 29.82, low of the pre-market, high of the pre-market, sitting at 30.35. Scroll to the left here and see what we can find. All right, so right up here we have some areas. We have clearly all the way up here is the level, and then down here you have what I want to call a minor support and resistance. Major 31.90, as you can see the change in direction, and then this one you have a minor support. All right, let's go over to the bottom. So the bottom of this 29.82, and then right on here you got beautiful resistance at 29.22. You can see right on there you got a nice resistance happening there that can now become support if this thing loses the low of the pre-market. So we'll see what happens here, guys. Again, they got some good news. Not a great pre-market activity, but I do like the gap up we have this morning. Now here's Tesla, guys. I mean, what can we say? Tesla has been really strong. I'm going to mark the high of the pre-market sitting at 858.99 at the moment. Obviously, we have our all-time high in around 970ish around there. And then the open and close, I mean, you could mark down this one here as a possible 888. You have the opening and closing happening on here again from where the price action is now and the high of the pre-market all the way to 968. That most likely is not going to happen. I mean, who knows? But you want to have something in between the 888, 900, 925. All these numbers are going to be significant if this stock decides to break out of the pre-market high this morning, which again, this pre-market activity is looking very strong and very active this morning. So we'll see what goes on there. Apple also has some reported some negative news, but even then, so they have rebounded nicely in the pre-market. They have some really good volume, 1.6. High of our pre-market sitting at 319, so we'll mark that down. Above that, you have plenty of levels, highs and lows from the last two trading days. We've been 325 to 329 ish or so, 326 has been a very strong area of resistance for Apple. But even with this news here, we had a nice little drop down and we're kind of making our way back up there. So we'll see what we do when we get to that 319 if we're able to break out of this area of the high of the pre-market. Towards the bottom, guys, if we do lose this 310, we do have an area right on here, 305. You can see levels of support, levels of resistance, support. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. It's looking pretty strong, like it's pretty bullish, like it wants to break out of 319 this morning. Space is, not Space, SPCE, Virgin Galactic. This one, guys, is, again, the last couple of days has been amazing. Had a great Monster Friday, and today is getting a continuation of that. Look at the volume, 2.8. So the volume is just insane. But as I mentioned before, guys, be very cautious with this stock. This thing is basically very, very extended from the daily. It had resistance right on here. I'm going to mark it down at 1994. Had major resistance twice here and here. Then finally broke out here, and then from there has not looked back. So again, very strong right now. Looks like I might want to go back up and test the 3306. But if you take a trade on this stock, you do not want to play around with your stop loss because this is very extended. It can drop on you very hard. Also, keep in mind, the number of shares you're going to take. These are $1 candles for the most part on this 5-minute chart. So again, just be very, very cautious. Here is Roku, guys. So Roku's got what I like about Roku here, we had a big nasty red day on Friday, and then now we're kind of bouncing back, going red to green this morning. So Roku's kind of starting to get some volume. It does has 292 right now. High of our pre-market. Let's remove some of these levels. First, high of our pre-market sitting at 132. So we'll mark that down, 132. And then from there, you really have the highs and lows covering you when it comes to levels. So we'll see what Roku does. I like the pre-market activity. We're trading below the previous day close. We shot above it. Now we're kind of holding this. So let's see if we can break out of this 132. And what I like about Roku, we know that if it has the volume, it can really get going here. So that is our list right now, guys. Let's go through our possibles really quick. So GSX could be a good possible. Again, it is a Chinese education stock, so I just want to be cautious with this one. Might not put too much weight on it. BYND, if it breaks out, could be nice. Again, the last couple of days has not been able to break the high of the day, and it becomes very choppy. Nothing great there. BBY, also not the best pre-market activity. Actually, you know what? BBY, I'm just going to take off. This doesn't look great at all. Right now, so I'm just gonna remove it even from a possible. Apply materials, this was a good possible, guys. I'm gonna do levels for this one because this could be one that I can move up if any of these are not looking great, like a KR, like a Ben. If they're not looking great, or Roku, AMAC could be one that you can move up. So we have our lower pre-market sitting at 63.55, our high at 65.47. Towards the top, you got plenty of levels here, highs and lows from the last two trading days. And then towards the bottom, guys, you can see a level right on here that was prior resistance when we made our way up here. You can see here several days banging their heads around that 62.55, and then below that you have a very nice level down here, 61.21, which has been the bottom of some of these days over here, as well as support right here and support and resistance here as well. And also you have a moving average right on there. So I think this one could be this is probably the best possible we have, guys. It just needs to break out and start giving us some good trading activity there. CAR is not looking all that great. We'll keep it on here in case it decides to cover this gap. And NVIDIA also has got some good activity and it's bouncing back as well, similar to what Apple was doing this morning. All right, guys, that is what we have. That is our list. SPY is pretty much flat for the most part. So we'll keep an eye on SPY as well, see what that does. And I think a lot of you guys mentioned MU and AMD, which is keep an eye on those. On the turbo breakup scanners, they do. AMD's got the magic number, man, 800,000 shares traded. So I'm putting it on here as a possible because it does have potential. But again, it's just been so choppy the last couple of days. I don't want to waste watch list space on it when we have some other stuff that can move. Folks, thank you very much for joining us in the pre-market show on this Tuesday. Back to the markets, short week. Hope you guys start off with a very green day, very productive trading day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern time.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.